My exact job title is the Enrollment and Match Support Coordinator. So I enroll all of the kids and all of like the families and the volunteers into the program, and I also once they're matched up, so the volunteers and the children are matched up, then I'm calling and talking to the parents and talking to the kids and talking to the volunteers while they're matched and providing match support, just checking in, making sure that everything's fine, providing ideas if they need, or helping with any issues that they're having.
Would you say that sometimes that gets difficult with like reaching different, like either like reaching the parent or the volunteer?
Extremely. It definitely depends on the case, but a lot of littles, and more specifically their families, are moving around a lot. They're changing addresses. Their phone number is changing like every month. That happens a lot. So typically it's very difficult to get hold of the parents, especially since there was a little bit of time between me and the last coordinator.
Yeah.
So our information kind of got out of date in that time frame, and so I'm starting with nothing. Most of the time I contact the bigs to get a hold of the littles. And also the big brothers and sisters are really busy. They're either in school or working or doing all sorts of volunteer work. So they're all over too. So just trying to call them at a time that works with their schedule can be difficult.
Okay. How would you describe Big Brothers Big Sisters to someone who has no idea about it at all?
My general overview is we match up. We're a one-on-one mentoring program, so we match up littles, which are children from the community ages 6 to 14, and we only work in Delaware County, with bigs, which are volunteers from the community. They can be ages 16 and older. And the bigs are there just to be with their little. They're there to be a positive role model, somebody to spend time with, an outlet for the children. And the kids come from all different backgrounds. They may be very stable environments. They may be two-parent households. They may be single-parent households, low income. They may have tons of siblings at home or live with another relative. So the people who are in the program can vary. But the program itself really helps the littles and the bigs build a relationship.
Okay. This question I know the answer, but I'm just gonna say it for reasons. What is required to become a big?
For a big, you have to be over the age of 16, and you have to be either a resident or work in Delaware County. You also have to have a valid driver's license, vehicle and car insurance, all up to date. And you also have to have been in Delaware County for at least 3 months. Unless you're a Ball State student, then it doesn't matter.
Okay. And is there any certain criteria to become a little?
Not really. Honestly, all the kids that are enrolled or that enter the program are enrolled. If they go through the process, if they go through the interviews, they show up, those types of things. The only reason they would not be accepted or their file would be closed is if they don't show up or we can't get a hold of them. And the only thing that would prevent a little from entering the program is if they say, I don't want a big, and then at that point, we're not doing anything with them. Most of the time, they are involved, but sometimes they can be a little bit more difficult to match, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. My match process happened a lot quicker than what everyone else's does, so this is curiosity for me and for the paper, but how long does it typically take to match a big and a little?
I don't know that I have a specific answer for you. It can be very different. Even while I've been here, there are volunteers who come in and I have a child in mind for them. Like, right. I know who's going to be a good fit. Other times it's a little bit more difficult than that. They're not really matched up based on when the kids or when the adults are coming into the program. It's really more based on personality, based on common interests, things like that. So I may not have a good fit of a volunteer, or I may not have a good fit of a child. So it may take a little bit more time. And it kind of depends on what background they're coming from. sometimes it's a lot harder if the kids require like special education services, or they require special skills that a volunteer needs. That makes it much more difficult because we really need somebody with those specific skill set in order to match them.
Okay, that's a good answer. What would you say is most difficult about working for Big Brothers Big Sisters?
That's a good question. I think most difficult one is getting a hold of people, like we were talking about earlier. But in addition to that, I have a hard time getting accurate information. So even when I am getting a hold of people, sometimes it's hard to make sure what somebody is telling me is accurate. So I may have a volunteer like, oh yeah, everything's great. And then I talk to the parent and I ask what type of activities they've been doing, and the parent's kind of checked out. They really haven't been paying attention, and I can tell, the usual. And then they can't really tell me what they've been up to, so the parent's not really paying attention. Or some of the kids who are really young, they're like, oh, we did something fun, but I don't really remember. And then sometimes it's hard with certain volunteers just to make sure they're meeting up with their little as much as they should be. Every once in a while somebody will like avoid me if they haven't been seeing their little in a while. And so they don't want to talk to me and tell me that they haven't been seeing their little.
I want to tell her that I haven't been seeing my little.
Exactly. So they'll avoid me until they hang out, and then they'll call me and be like, oh heck yeah, we just went together last night. So I think it's hard to make sure I'm getting the most accurate information. That can definitely be a child safety issue. For example, I can't tell who actually has custody of the kids. Dad can call me and say that he has custody, but I don't know. I don't have any court documentation. I don't know if grandma got custody or mom, or, the kids might be moving around. I'm not really sure who they're actually supposed to be with. That makes it more difficult because I don't necessarily know who I can give information out to. And sometimes when the kids are moving around, I'm not sure who to talk to make sure that everything's okay. So, or
I've experienced that.
Yeah. Or let's say the one parent who enrolled them in the program goes into jail, and then I'm trying to find another contact. Like, I don't know how to get a hold of them.
Right.
So that can be a little difficult.
Okay. What makes you most passionate about working for Big Brothers Big Sisters?
The kids. Definitely the kids. I ran Cardinal Kids Camp for a year, and that was probably the hardest fun I ever had. Yes, the hardest fun I ever had. I am highly motivated working with kids, and I think just seeing the difference that it makes for the littles, and that takes a lot of time, but even the kids are so excited just to see their big, and they get talking really fast and they get all excited. Yeah, and they're telling me, oh, we went painting and we did this, and then we went out to eat and we got ice cream, and they get all excited talking about their bigs. So I'm also inspired seeing the people who are willing to do this for children that they don't even know, and they're willing to give their time and put themselves out there. So I think the whole program is great.
This is just a totally off the record question, but you said ice cream. How many kids go and get ice cream? Because every time me and Camry go somewhere, she's like, can we go get ice cream?
A ton.
Every time.
And almost every time I interview a child, like, what would you like to do with their big? They say, I want to go get ice cream.
Yeah, Camry told me she wants to go to Sky Zone, so I'm working on that. But I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous going there, but okay. How many matches are there currently in Delaware County?
There's about 50.
50?
And that can fluctuate in a month. Like, I might close a match or add a couple. So there's about 50 right now. At this point, they've just kind of been maintaining, and we're transitioning everything to an online system, so that's slowing down enrollment. So after this, we're hoping to grow and add a lot more matches starting in January.
Okay, do you know how many unmatched littles and bigs you have? Or I guess you could just say the littles, because really you have... Do you have more unmatched bigs or unmatched littles?
Oh, definitely littles.
Okay.
The only reason the bigs are unmatched is because I went through yesterday. They just got ready to be matched yesterday, and I'm going through and matching them. So the littles right now we have. I'll look up the exact number because I wanted to say it's a little bit different between. I think there's 13 little girls, 13 little sisters, and then maybe 15 little brothers. Let's see. Waiting list. Okay, so 15 little brothers and 12 little sisters.
So is it harder to get the little brothers matched than his little sisters? Like more bigs are sisters than they are brothers?
I wouldn't say they're necessarily harder to match, but we just don't have as many male volunteers come in. So that's kind of the reason for the difference. And some of the little boys have a little, well, I can't say they have more issues, but sometimes there's a very specific, most of the volunteers who come in are sports oriented, they want to be active with their little and things like that. But if a little has, they really like books and they like Star Wars and video games and things like that, it's much harder to match them. So even though we have less male volunteers, the male volunteers we do have are usually very specific in terms of what they like to do, and it's harder to match them up with the littles who are quiet and enjoy books and puzzles and things like that.
Is it possible? I had someone ask me this the other day because I was talking to them about Big Brothers Big Sisters, and this has just popped into my head. But can a boy be matched with a girl? Yes. That's possible.
We do have one cross-gender match right now. I think the other one closed July. So it is possible. They typically only do that with the younger boys, and it's usually because they need somebody with specific skills. So somebody who can work with somebody who's autistic, or somebody who can work with somebody with a developmental delay or something like that. Most of the times, we just don't have male volunteers who come in with those skills. A lot of times we'll get like females who are in education or a counselor or, that kind of work in that environment and they know how to handle it. In that case, we do some cross-gender matches, but it's not very typical.
Yeah, those, I don't even remember where I was, but this lady and her son, she's like, I wanted to get my son into that, but I just don't think he'd get along with a boy. I think he'd rather have a big sister. And I was like, oh, okay.
And they could probably request that. It's more difficult, especially because the volunteers come in thinking, like especially the female volunteers, they'll come in thinking, I'm going to be matched with the little sister.
Yeah.
So, we really take into consideration their preferences and things like that. And they always approve the children. So, we let them know we have this child. Do you think that's something that you're comfortable with? Will you be able to work with them very well? And they can always let us know whether they are or are not up for that.
Okay. And you said the match closed. Can you elaborate on what closed means and how that happens?
Closed means many different things. So, when a big and a little are put together, they're just matched. It's called a match, and they're currently hanging out, doing things together. When a match closes, it can be for so many different reasons. So basically, the match closure just means that the big and the little are no longer seeing each other through the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. That can mean a lot of things. So they may have aged out, so they are over 18 and graduated from high school, and then they basically age out of the program. They're an adult now. So the big and little may still be seeing each other. It's just not through Big Brothers Big Sisters. Sometimes, like if it's a student, they graduate, they move away, get a job, and they can no longer see their little, the child moves or the volunteer moves, or they lose contact with each other again. I have a difficult time getting a hold of them by phone or address sometimes. It's the same with the bigs. Sometimes they just lose contact with the littles and they don't have their new phone number, and they moved and they can't find their little. So it could be a lot of different, reasons, but sometimes the child's mom moves for a new job or things like that. And sometimes they simply lose contact. So again, the volunteer might move and then the family just doesn't hear from them, which is horrible. And I hate it when that happens, but it does happen.
Does it happen, like, when you said, like, a lot of them are Ball State students and how that's completely different? So, like, say their match, like, in, like, Cambry and I's case, like, they're only here for 4 years, so by that time Cambry would only be 11, so would the match just close? Or would they, like, how would you reassign them another big sister because that one's leaving? Or how would that work?
That depends. So I usually become aware that the match is going to be closing. Let's say it's a Ball State student and they call me and they say, I'm graduating in December. I'm no longer going to be able to see my little. I just wanted to let you know that this is coming. So they talk to their little and they say, okay. And they say, okay, I'm not going to be able to see you anymore. I'll be graduating. I'll be moving away, that type of thing. So they introduce to the little that their match is closing. And it's up to the little and the parent whether they want to re-enroll in the program. So let's say the little is really sad, but she wants another big sister. So the family would let me know because I'll be in contact with them. I'm contacting them to make sure everything's fine. And usually when I know a match is closing, I'll say, okay, where are you at? Would you want another big sister, or do you want to wait, or are you not interested? And they'll let me know. So once the match closed, then I would go to the home and interview the little and the parent again, kind of visit the home environment, get a sense for their personality and what likes and dislikes that they have, what type of activities they're interested in. And then I would match them up again through basically the same process.
I had a question that popped into my head and I don't remember it now. Okay. Okay. This is like change subject now. Did you work within Big Brothers Big Sisters before you became the match
I did not.
coordinator? You did not. Okay. How did you know that you wanted to work for Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Well, I graduated with my master's from Ball State. And I was job searching. And some of the jobs that were listed, I was applying for, and I was like, okay. But then I saw the Big Brothers Big Sisters job posting, and I got really excited because it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to work with kids again, but I don't have an education background, so that's difficult unless you're in education. So this was something where I could work with kids and work with volunteers and not be in an education position. And so I was just really excited. I was excited about the program. I researched everything that they're doing here. I was looking at the job description, seeing what I would be doing, and it was such a good fit for me. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, that is, I think that's everything that I have for you, but is there anything that you want to add? Like any additional information or anything that I didn't cover that you wanted to say, or?
From your perspective, I guess, what else could we be doing? Either adding something in like match support, or we're doing things like the giving tree and stuff like that. I mean, what else do you think we could be doing to make it easier for like the volunteers or easier for the kids?
This, in my case, I've thought about this a couple times, and with Cambry, she also has an older sister, Kaylee, and I think that, I mean, even though it is like a one-on-one thing, I think it's important for like the bigs to meet and talk about how, like, what are you seeing in the family, or like what, and talk about those kinds of things, and then also meet together, because sometimes like Kaylee will ask me, can I come with you when I pick up Cambry? Or Cambry will tell me that she went with Kaylee, and I'm like, okay, well maybe if we did more of like a together thing, then next time Kaylee can go on her own and Cambry can go on her own, and then it's not more of like a group thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think maybe like if it's like a family thing, it should be more encouraged but not required, but I guess that's just what I've noticed from like different things.
It's definitely interesting, and every child is different and every volunteer is different, and I know they didn't have or they had like the sibling involvement to where like you're not taking the siblings with you, that type of thing, because a lot of times like the parents were sending multiple siblings, and then if they were going out and getting their nails done, for example, then it got really expensive. So it kind of puts them in a difficult position.
Right.
But it really depends. Like
Right.
a lot of the bigs will do things together. Like the bigs will take both of their sibling littles and go and do an activity, and I think that's great.
That's what I thought too. But then I felt like I had brought it to Cambry's mom's attention to like, hey, I think her name's Haley. Her sister's big. Like, let her know that I'm interested if she is. And like, I never heard anything back. So it's like, okay, maybe she's just not interested, or Renee didn't relay the information, or which that's probably what happened.
Yeah. And it's hard because, I mean, if you're interested, I would definitely go through like the coordinator.
Yeah.
And I actually sent something out on the last big email where there was a big who was interested in doing something with another big and little match, and I was like, hey, here's his email if you're interested. It's kind of
Cambry
hard.
doesn't work really good with boys.
I know. So it's hard because it was a boy, but it's kind of hard because I can't really give out confidential information.
Yeah.
But I had a big who came to me and said, hey, I'm interested in doing something with another match, like. And I said, is it okay to give out your email? Like, I'll just do your email first instead of, like, your phone number. And he said, yeah, that's great. So it's hard because a lot of the older matches know the siblings' bigs.
Right.
But somebody who's new, it's hard to get that information unless you are there at the same time.
Right. Right. Because I think Cambry was the last one matched. And I think they were matched for a while. Before, like, I know there was, like, when Megan had came in and we were, like, doing, like, our home visit and, like, filling everything out, Kaylee was like, yeah, it's almost a year, and it had been a year. Like, she signed Kaylee up, and then I guess, like, a little bit later she signed up Cambry, and Cambry didn't have a match for, like, so long, and I was like, that's horrible. Like, I feel so bad. Like, I wish I would have done this sooner. I feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, we have some boys on the list who haven't been matched for, like, 2 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah. But it's right now I'm just trying to figure out where everyone's at because I don't really know. Like,
right.
They were hanging out on the wait list, but I'm trying to like update their
like,
status.
are you still wanting this?
Right.
Or
contacting the family, are you interested?
Like, are you too old now?
Yes.
Or
yeah, are you still interested in getting a big? Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna come and meet you and re-interview.
Right.
Go through the whole process again because a lot can change in a year or a year and a half, and it's gonna help me match them because I have their file but I don't know who they are.
Right. Like, that's probably tough. Like, you just coming in and like picking up where someone else has like done all of these things, and you're just like,
yeah,
what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
that's difficult.
There were some matches that were already made, so I did the match meeting, and I had never met the volunteer, I'd never met the child, the parent, anything, and so there was like one where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I would have done that, like,
right,
and
right.
There are a couple that are really great, and then there's one where I'm just like, I'm just not sure,
right,
and so I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. So it's hard, I guess. I'm getting more and more confident as we go along because I know them more.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I might have met the volunteer but not the child, and so can I really tell from paper if they're going to be a good match?
Right. Is it like, this is like, I guess, kind of a question that could be used, but not really. Is it hard, like, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, darn it.
Probably had to do with, like, matching people.
It did. Okay. Is it hard to match when you don't really know? Like, the little isn't giving you a lot and the parent isn't giving you a lot. Is it difficult? I feel like, okay.
Yes.
So, okay, we're just going to stop.